12 years ago, my first year working on my PhD, I got a bicycle and I loved riding it really fast. We had a hill at the campus. I want to say it's about half a football field long, and it's a very steep grade. And I would race down that hill, and toward the bottom I would be going 20, 30 miles an hour easily, especially on a windy day. And every day for a year, I did that until one day I got really hurt. My brakes had failed, and I distinctly remember metal hitting metal, sparks shooting out of the bike, and I flew over a garbage can at the bottom of that hill. Now, when the medics for RIT, where I was going to school, came to check up on me, they asked me when was the last time I took a tetanus vaccine, and I didn't want to take one. I have high-functioning autism. I've done really well avoiding some of those chemicals. I've done a lot of detoxes as well. And so I lied to them and said that my last one was only a few months ago. I knew it was 6-7 years ago, but I said it was months ago. Because I didn't know if they would force me to take it to be able to go back to school or anything like that. And I thank God he didn't ask to check any records or anything, and that was that. But I became very fearful of getting hurt after that, because that time I was conscious to answer him. I worried if I got incapacitated in some way. And so I swore off going really fast down that hill. Now, I would be bike riding with some friends, and they would ask me, I thought you loved racing down that hill. And I didn't want to tell my friends that I wasn't up to date on all the vaccines, so I just said, I got hurt one time, and that's that. I'm done with it. And at around the same time, we also introduced a new vaccine to the schedule, the HPV. Now, I remember when they approved it for everybody up to 26 years old, and I thought I have a few more years to go. Maybe I'll find some ways around it. I might have to find out about exemptions, and definitely don't want to get hurt on my bicycle. I got 2 more years to avoid getting into problems with that. Well, my joy was very short-lived, right? Now looking back at it, that I made it to 26 without getting the HPV vaccine. Now, even before the pandemic, I had a friend who passed away. He died of a drug overdose, which really scared the crap out of me, because I used to have an addictive personality myself, and I worried that I would get hurt, get incapacitated, and be given painkillers without my consent, right? It just scared the crap out of me. And I used to be a very careless driver. After I learned my friend passed away, I started driving much more conservatively, right? Not to mention driving just a whole lot less to begin with, right? And then the pandemic hit. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was very worried about getting forcefully quarantined, because I watched in other countries, they were literally imprisoning people over quarantine restrictions. I've spent time in jail myself, and I know how hard it is to get healthy foods that are not going to aggravate my autism, right? Or cause other problems. The last thing I would want to have happen is getting quarantined over not even having COVID or having asymptomatic COVID and coming out even more sick than I went in with, because of all the junk food that they want to feed me. So for the first couple of weeks of the lockdown, I remember carrying around a backpack full of baking chocolate and dried coconut powder, because that was the densest food I could find that could last me 2 weeks, right? And I also hoarded up on chelation therapy, alpha-lipoic acid, and sodium iodide. The sodium iodide is really going to come in handy now that there's potential for nuclear spills and all that. So I survived that, but it was very short-lived, right? Not long after that, they were telling us to take 3 injections of right? Or else we won't be able to go out in public. Fortunately, that has started to wind down a little bit, but I still want to be extremely careful about not getting myself incapacitated. It really goes to show we have no control about what goes into our bodies.